Hello, everybody. My name is Micah Primack, and I'm here today to talk about the research that I conducted this summer with the help of SURF and CURE. This summer, I worked on an independent research project with the help of my mentor, Dr. Zachary Wallmark. Our project was about music therapy and how we could tailor the different modalities of music therapy for depression and anxiety towards people's different musical identities. Music therapy is a very broad and misunderstood field. It concerns a wide range of therapeutic practices that use music in order to assist patients with mental and physical conditions. One promising use of music therapy has been, particularly in auxiliary use with talk therapy, has been for depression and anxiety. Thus, we decided to focus our study on those two fields. The name of our paper is Measurement of Musical Identity to Tailor Music Therapy Aimed at Curbing the Mental Health Crisis. We sent out a survey to 1,512 US adults with the help of Qualtrics sampling services aged 30 through 70. We assessed mental health of these people using the PHQ-9 inventory for depression and the GAD-7 inventory for anxiety. In addition, we assessed relevant sociodemographic information, including age, race, sex, education level, and employment status. Most uniquely to our survey, we included a musical identity inventory. This was adapted from previous music psychological and musicological research on this topic. Our components of musical identity our musical identity inventory comes in three components. Firstly, we have a component related to music and experience. This concerns musicians or people who play music because it talks about musical background and musicality. Questions that asked on the survey that concern this component include from strongly agree to strongly disagree. I'm confident in my musical abilities. I can write my own music. I play musical instruments. Secondly, we have a component related to music and self. This talks about conceptions of identity and how we use music as to form social relationships, so role in social formation. The questions here are from strongly agree to strongly disagree. Music is important to my identity. Music is an important part of my social life, and I'm passionate about my favorite music. Lastly, the third component of musical identity we used in our model was music and emotion. This concerned the emotional effectiveness of music on the individual and its therapeutic quality. So statements here included, music can help pull me out of a bad mood, or music can help energize me, and music can be emotionally therapeutic for me. Putting all this data into the computer, we ran a statistical test called a factor analysis, which basically took all of these questions and saw the relationship between them in order to assess, was this component model of musical identity the best, most correct way? Here is the results of the factor analysis. You can see each item and what factor each item loaded onto. So the highlighted or the darkened squares are the highest factor loading for each item. In analysis 1, you can see that the first item, I'm confident in my musical abilities, loaded onto factor 2 with a factor loading of 0.76. And you can see that the highest factor loadings for all the items for analysis 1 were either on factor 1 or factor 2, suggesting that there were not three factors and instead two factors. So we ran this test again, forcing two factors to get analysis 2. Finally, we removed some of the questions because we felt that they might have been ambiguous and could lead to some discrepancy in the factor loadings. For example, item number 4 reads, I enjoy playing music. It loaded pretty consistently on both factors, which is a pretty good sign. It might have been a confusing question. Here, it's pretty obvious to see why. what do we mean by enjoy playing music? Well, it could be like I enjoy turning on the radio and listening to music, or it could be I enjoy picking up my guitar and playing music for other people. Those are very different things to us. And the question didn't assess this properly, what we wanted it to. So we removed some of those questions and we ended with the results in analysis 3, which again was 2 factors. We can see that all the questions that loaded onto factor 2 were on our musicianship scale. So we feel confident this is a pretty important and major factor. However, the questions on factor 1 were questions on the emotion scale and the self-identity scale. So in our final component model, we have 2 components, music and experience, and the 2 that we lump together, self and emotion, into a component called music, self, and emotion. This leads me to this graph. We can label people on both of these axes as high or low, depending on if they were in the top 50% of people who answered yes, strongly agree for the music and experience items, or no, strongly disagree for the music and experience items, and the same with the music, self, and emotion items. And then from this, we can create this 4-quadrant table in which each quadrant has a particular modality that would be most effective for them. For example, if you are someone who is a musician, so you probably answered high on the music and experience scale, and is for someone who music is highly emotionally effective, so you answered high on the music, self, and emotion scale, then we recommend therapeutic songwriting and composition as music therapy modalities that would be particularly effective. However, if someone is not a musician, low in the music experience subscale, but high on the music, self, and emotion subscale, then receptive music therapies could be the most effective. This includes song discussion and song communication, and are particularly used in talk therapy as a medium to discuss patients' thoughts and feelings. If you answered low on the music, self, and emotion subscale, but high on the music experience subscale, then recreative tasks, such as musical performance, could be the modality that best suits you. And finally, if an individual answered low for both, then a music-assisted relaxation task would probably be the best fit. However, we have other findings too, some of which concern the many demographic questions we asked earlier. While there are multiple interesting things here, I want to focus on this particular one because I think it's the most interesting, and I'll read from the paper here. Scoring high on both scales was associated with being younger. For example, 38% of people aged 30 to 39 scored high on the music, self, and emotion subscale, while only 22% of people aged 60 to 70 did. Similarly, 54% of people aged 30 through 39 scored high on the music and experience subscale, while only 16% of people aged 60 to 70 did. So we are seeing that younger people scored higher on these scales than older people. Why is this? I see 2 competing theories. One is that younger people simply have more time and desire to engage with music. They are more likely to go out to concerts. They're more likely to have relationships with their favorite musical artists. They're more likely to be musicians themselves and play music, even if it is recreationally. However, as they get older, they have more responsibilities. Their work demands increase. They might have kids, and thus they don't have as much time or desire to engage in music. However, this trajectory we could also see as an effect of the growing accessibility of music, indicating that yes, younger generations will continue to have elevated levels on both of these subscales. This could be because music is now more prevalent than ever in our society. Digital audio workstations make music creation really accessible for people. In addition, platforms like Spotify and Apple Music make the ability to find your musical sound and the musical artists that you enjoy and connect to the most very easy. So because of these reasons, perhaps music is actually becoming more impactful in society. And if this is true, this underscores music therapy as a way to respond to society's growing emotional connection to music. Our third finding concerns the mental health disorders discussed earlier. We found that scoring high on both subscales was associated with higher rates of depression and anxiety. I'll take this subscale by subscale. Why might this be the case for experience? Well, perhaps the drivenness of musicians lead to feelings of inadequacy. In addition, there's a lot of anxiety associated with music performance, and so this could lead some to have an anxiety disorder or a depressive disorder. In terms of self and emotion, music could be used to self-medicate. So people who already have symptoms of depression and anxiety could turn to music in order to help self-medicate those conditions. It could work the other way around too. Perhaps experiencing emotional music makes people more emotional. We do not know for sure, and these are interesting music psychology realms to explore in the future. However, our study, again, focused primarily on music therapy and how we could tailor music therapy to best help people with different musical identities. Our plan for the future is to finish formatting this paper, submit it to academic conferences and academic journals, including the Journal of Music Therapy. Then in the future, we would also hope to test our predictions and compare a control group that receives normal music therapy towards one that receives tailored music therapy using our musical identity inventory to see if tailoring actually increases effectiveness. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I want to again thank SURF and CURE for their support this summer. Thank you.